Thanks so much for joining today on our as we continue our Unlock Learning series. This is the Android portion of the series that we've been running. We've already done it as a whole. We've done it on Chrome and iOS, and now obviously we're switching on to Android. So I'm excited to share some of the successes we've had with this product and the opportunity to introduce some of the that will introduce this awesome solution to managing Androids in your clients' organizations or even within specific schools. So, yeah, I'm Dave. I head up business development here at Mobile Guardian, and I pretty much come from a digital transformation background. So, taking some of these concepts and rolling them out into schools is one of my specialities, and it's quite exciting as these tools become more and more available and devices are becoming more and more present in schools to be able to have something that can help not only the students but also the schools in managing devices. Just some housekeeping on my side. Just remember to switch off the camera and microphone. Nick is in the chat, so if you have any questions, just pop them in the chat. I will run through them at the end, and then we will also record the webinar. So if anything does happen, you need to jump off. We'll share the recording with you afterwards. So quick intro into what I'll be running through. So it's just a quick introduction to Mobile Guardian, and then an intro into our Android mobile device management portion, and then 3 of the add-on tools that actually plug in to really maximize our abilities and the abilities to manage Android devices, one being our classroom management tool, our cloud-based web filtering, and our linked parent dashboard. So, and then right at the end, just the Q&A. So just jumping straight in, who and what is Mobile Guardian? So we're a cloud-based MDM purpose-built for education. So what's unique about us is we really allow schools the flexibility and the security needed in order to manage their devices, whether they're on-site or even whether they're off-site. We've evolved this product with the guidance and insight of teachers over the last 10 years. So we started out with an iOS product, gradually added a Chrome product, and then Android naturally started filtering in. And I think we took our biggest strides with Android when Google implemented EMM and the ability to use EMM to manage Android devices. And it allowed schools that have made a commitment towards Android products to be able to get the benefits of it and actually properly manage these devices, not only with Cloud Console, but plug it in Mobile Guardian. Just to touch on it, we support iOS, macOS, Chrome, and Android. Elements of Windows as well, but it's more about managing the Chrome browser, but Windows is not something we generally get involved with. We have a great customer success team that's available from the beginning, from myself sitting down with you, understanding the environment, understanding your customer and what solution can be set out for them, down to the technical onboarding, getting them up and running, getting them successful from the beginning, all the way through to our help desk that's there for the little niggles that come up every now and then. We've got that support team sitting there ready to assist wherever they can. And then the actual Mobile Guardian offering that plugs in, which is the mobile device management, shaping how you want these devices to function in your school, locking down things like access to settings, adding accounts, logging out of their accounts. You can really switch that on and off with Mobile Guardian, where I think before there hasn't really been a tool that can give you that much control. Or if you're in the Google environment and you're making use of their EMM, there's a lot of limitations that you can't really do. You can't physically lock down these devices like you would with an MDM. The classroom tool is also great now, especially with this blended learning environment, the uncertainty that we find in ourselves in with our devices. Are they going to be at home? Are they going to be at school? And what happens when they're in between? The classroom management tool gives a great way for teachers to keep that control even when devices are at home or in the classroom. You can see what's happening on their screens in real time. You can push content. And the whole idea is to allow schools to get the real value out of these Android devices and the investment that they've made to make sure it's a tool and not a distraction. And then our cloud-based web filtering that pretty much allows you to create the experience and uphold your e-policies in schools or your customers' e-policies when these devices are at home or at Starbucks or connecting wherever they are. You have the ability to enforce those restrictions on the browser no matter where it's connecting from. And then what might be quite cool is our multi-school management, which is our district dashboard, and even our partner manager and our partner dashboard, which allows you to pretty much, as a partner, resell Mobile Guardian licenses and skin it and pretty much plug it on and as an integrated solution if you wanted to, and also manage multiple schools or if a school has a lot of branches, the ability to have one main admin to be able to jump in between each one. It's quite cool. And then I think our most exciting product right now, the linked parent dashboard, and where that stems from is the ability to take some of the pressure of schools and school IT admins and put that onto the parents, and allow parents to create their own web filter rules at school. It's all packaged in quite nicely, and I'll touch on it a bit at the end. So I'm going to go through the MDM portion, classroom tool, web filter, and linked parent dashboard in a small demo, and you'll kind of get to see how it interacts. So small intro into Mobile Guardian for Android, and I think where a lot of the uncertainty nowadays is coming in is around, sending devices home. How do we make sure that when we put these devices in student hands, that they're not going to be able to, number one, break them or delete something that they shouldn't, or mess around with these devices, and also that they're only being used for the intention that the school wants it to be used. So they're not able to access things like pornography, violent content, or be able to connect to Bluetooth devices or to anything else. It's about meeting those challenges with a tool that's able to address all three things. So I think two of the main ones I want to highlight now is the central management of devices. So that's the ability to be able to push out applications from the cloud, be able to see things like location, be able to get quick access to device information. Should a device go missing, having access to the serial number and the IMEI number is so important, because it allows you to have that information for insurance claims, for example. And then also being able to remotely wipe devices. So should it go missing, you don't want that information in the wrong hands, you can remotely wipe that with Mobile Guardian and pretty much remove all of that school information that you don't want anyone else to see. The second kind of struggle that comes up sometimes is using these devices in class. And teachers come back to us quite often and they say, it's a wonderful tool and it's great that we're incorporating this into our classrooms, but it's becoming a distraction. How do we, if I'm a normal teacher and I'm walking through the class and I can check, okay, everyone's on chapter 12 in their textbook, but when these devices are in class, how do I know what they're doing? How do I know when Jimmy's on YouTube or when Sarah is on playing Fortnite? And just having that digital window to be able to manage these devices and give teachers the right tools to be able to effectively use these devices. And I think our classroom tool for Android plugs in quite well, just to give teachers just that little bit of help and assistance when it comes to managing the devices. We also plug in with Google for Education, which I mentioned earlier, and with EMM, it actually allows you to sync over your users and then use those accounts to sign into your phone. So you can have a fully managed account using these Android devices. And what's great about it is you can bring all of the way that you manage your domain and the students, plug it in with Mobile Guardian onto that device, and then manage both aspects. So you can manage the device, you can also then manage the students, and then you even plug in the web filter and you can manage the way they browse. So it really creates a wonderful solution for full management of this device. I know not all schools make use of Google for Education, and what stemmed from that was something called Mobile Guardian Authentication. And that's the ability for schools that don't make use of Google to be able to still get the benefits of a management platform like Mobile Guardian. So we created our own EMM to be able to do this. And a good example is a school in Cape Town called Crystal House. And we help them get set up with that, where essentially they're just having shared devices that anyone can pick up and they can just drop off in a class. And because they weren't in the Google environment, they were in an Active Directory environment, we were able to still facilitate management, cloud-based web filtering, and even teacher tool without the need to go down the Google route. So it's wonderful that it has that adaptability for any kind of school that wants to take advantage of it. We further extend on this with time-based profiles. So, as you build out, as a school builds out their environment, perhaps with devices going home, they don't want during school time, 8 a.m. till 4 p.m., for example, they don't want students to be able to go on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, but perhaps, as we shift more towards digital citizenship with students and understanding and helping them educate on how to browse the internet, perhaps after 5 o'clock, you want to give them access to YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, and actually use these devices. You can set up profiles to allow that flexibility. It's awesome to be able to can allow a school to create their own type of browsing environment and usage environment. Location tracking is also super important, because with devices going home or even on campus, just having that information to know where it last was is really, really important. And then, like I mentioned, classroom tools and web filtering, just plugging in and really bringing everything home after that. So I'm going to jump into a quick demo of Mobile Guardian's MDM for Android and about using Mobile Guardian within the school. So if you log into your dashboard, you can see this is a demo dashboard. You'll be greeted by an aptly named dashboard, where you're able to pretty much go ahead and create any view that you want to see. What's awesome about this is it gives you a high-level overview of what's happening in your environment. So you can see different OSs that you perhaps manage, what blocked website categories are coming up according to your filter, what's recently enrolled, what students are visiting, what are the top websites that students are visiting, and even what blocked websites you're visiting. It's totally customizable to whatever you want to look out for. This is just the way that I've set it up. So it's just that very quick access to see what's going on. And where it starts getting really cool is the ability to actually check on devices and see what's happening. So here you can see I've got a multi-OS environment. I've got an Apple device, a Chromebook, and an Android. And if I jump into any one of these, you can see at a click of a button, I've got access to wherever these devices are. So this is where I am right now. I chose the wrong device, but you can see it just gives you that snapshot. If I jump into this Android here next to me, it should pull the location. It's not doing it right now. Perhaps I just switched off location myself, but it'll pull through that location. And as you go through this, you'll see those information that I was talking about earlier, serial numbers, IMEI numbers, the current version that's on here, as well as IP addresses, is all available at a click of a button, and it really helps IT admins manage this a lot better, as opposed to having an Excel sheet to see who's got what and who's signed into what device. It tells me who's in this device and what's being used. Another great part is application management. So let's say a student needs YouTube and they log in and they say, you know, Mr. Admin, I don't have access to YouTube. The app's here. I don't know where the app is. I can very quickly jump in and get a snapshot. Okay, cool. Everything else is on here as it should be, but YouTube app here, there's an issue with this. I can now investigate and see why it's not pushing down. I can then resync this down to the device if I want to and address it that way without the need to have to ask for the device, investigate. I can push this all down from the cloud, which is great. Just some information around browser history. You can see for this student and device what's being browsed today. So as they are using this with the web filter, I'll get information on what's happening, what they're trying to access here, if it's a block site, if it's not a block site. And I can also quickly whitelist and blacklist here if I need to, and do that on the fly, which is quite nice. Another one just on location. So as the device moves around and it picks up the location, it will just drop pins around so you can see the last known locations as they move around. And then the more boring stuff, the ability just to message the device directly, lock it if you need to, and if it does go missing, just the ability to remotely wipe it is so important. So it's just giving IT admins the ability to centrally manage these devices in a very simple way. So just some of the features that support it, just to recap on that, is that centralized device management, the location tracking, student browser analytics, which I showed you, lockdown of devices if they go missing, and then also the ability to set up and push apps from Mobile Guardian. So if you've got a structure, whether it's grades, whether it's a foundation phase, and these students get these apps and these students get those apps, you're able to set that up. When the student logs in, it recognizes this is a grade 4 student and it pushes down whatever apps they require for the school year. So you do have that ability. The second part where it's actually, sorry, I missed the part here, is the actual MDM part. So that's all about the device management, but I want to jump into the actual MDM part and show you some of the restrictions that you can do with Mobile Guardian. So you get some general restrictions here, like disable camera, hide location. This one's quite funny because we had a school in Cape Town actually that they were having an issue with 1 or 2 boys that were taking inappropriate photos and they needed to address it. So a quick solution was to actually disable the camera, push it down from Mobile Guardian, and it removed or it hid the app across the other devices. So now it gave them a chance to think of how they're going to address this, what are they going to do without it carrying on. So they could very quickly just disable the camera off the device and then they could address it. you can jump further into Android and really start locking this device down. So, you know, how you want your students to interact with is entirely up to you. So like I've got you disable access to settings, disable third-party browsers, you know, make sure that all web links push through the Mobile Guardian application. I can say don't allow them to modify applications, block account modification. If you're putting SIM cards in and loading data, and you don't want students to be able to tether or add their own devices, you can block that. You can block outgoing phone calls and SMSs as well as cellular data while roaming. So you can really get creative with this and really manage this centrally from the cloud and then push these down to the devices. Everything down from those policies to passcode enforcement. So if you have a strict passcode policy at school, I can enforce this down onto the devices and I can set what I want. If I want alphanumeric, if I want standard, even down to network settings. So let's say, for example, school takes a Mobile Guardian, they take the MDM portion, but they have a firewall. They don't have to take web filter because they've got a firewall internally. What you can do is say, if there's a student network that all devices need to connect to because they have policies on that, you can force the device to only connect to that SSID and pre-select it. So they won't even have the ability to be able to switch over to ensure that the devices are always on the network that has those e-policies. So that's a great way. There's a lot more tools I can go into here, but those are just some of the great ones that you can use to lock down. Where I was going to next was the cloud-based web filtering, which is the first of our add-on tools that plugs in on top of MDM. So if you head into Safe Browser here, you'll see there's two different ways that we make use of web filtering, and there's two different products. The first one is the standard web filter, which gives you access to, number one, the Mobile Guardian browser and the ability, which you would have seen on MDM, to switch off students using other browsers. We always encourage schools to make use of the Mobile Guardian browser because it exists within our app and our filters just work a lot better and the reporting comes out a lot cleaner. So, you know, they can certainly still make use of Chrome, the Chrome app. The policies will still apply. We just find it works a lot smoother and a lot better through the Mobile Guardian app. You can also enforce safe browsing. And then you'll also get access to the whitelist and the blacklist. And this is where schools can really start shaping their browsing experience and pushing their e-policies. So you can go as strict as you want here. There's multiple categories. We actually make use of NetSweeper, and that's where we get these categories from. So NetSweeper is constantly updating these categories and adding. So in the background here, if you select this category and they pick up something else, it will then just keep adding it as it needs. So you can see here that this will grow. And then what's going to happen is this is most likely going to block some things that might be needed. So if I've got web chat disabled here and perhaps the school makes use of Google Meet, excuse me, you can whitelist Google Meet so that students can still get access to it. And this will organically grow. So, you know, teachers might come and say, hey, I need these websites this year. Can you please whitelist? Or you can just ask users to request access, and then yourself as the admin can actually jump in and view what's in here. I get a link to the page that was requested, so I can go have a look. So I can see, okay, Kate asked for this. What is this web page? And I can go make the decision as the admin and say, oh, this is actually a school-based website. I can use this. Or no, this is not good. We're going to leave it on the blacklist. And it just gives you that functionality, which is great. So that all falls part of the standard web filter. We then have another web filter called the premium web filter. So that allows you access to be able to filter YouTube and create a YouTube experience that you want. So you can control the YouTube app as well as in the browser. You can control things like what categories can students get access to. So every video should be categorized on YouTube, and here you're able to decide what you want and what you don't want. You can also blacklist channels. So if you don't want Jake Paul in the school, get rid of him, as well as videos. You could choose to blacklist everything and only allow specific creators, so like History Channel, for example, or only allow education categories to push through, and you can then enforce that down to their YouTube experience, because there is a lot of value in YouTube for schools, and I think not having it on sometimes, you know, not having the ability to make it work for you can be a disadvantage, and some schools do like being able to shape their own YouTube experience. And I think my favorite part of the premium web filter, the last tool that I'm going to show, is our keyword filter. And, it sounds so simple, but it's such a powerful tool, because what it does and how it expands on the filtering is, with standard, you have the ability to switch a website on or switch a website off. There's no in between. So if you don't want general news, there's no CNN. What keyword allows you to do, it allows you to shape that browsing experience. So I can say, what, we want our kids to be able to have access to CNN and news, but we don't want them seeing things like terrorism and violence and, strikes and things that children shouldn't be seeing. We can go in here and actually filter out words like terrorism, for example. Add this in, and my spelling is great, and what it'll do is it'll basically pick up, okay, you're on CNN, that's fine, don't worry. But as soon as it picks up that word terrorism, it then closes off that article and doesn't allow them access. So it's great because you can still allow children the ability to be able to use the website, but still make sure that they can't see things that they shouldn't. I'm not going to open some of the keywords in here because we pretty much catered for a lot of things. It's a bit rude, but if you want to and you're brave, you can go have a look at that. A school can also add their own keywords if they want to. So, there was a trend last year called Momo that was going on with YouTube, and what the school was able to do was just go in here, block Momo. So whether they were on YouTube, whether they were on something else, as soon as it picked up that Momo, bang, it cancelled out that, and you're able to then shape that browsing experience. So it's a really powerful tool. The best part of it is it's cloud-based, so it doesn't matter where these devices are. It's not like a firewall that restricts that to a local capacity. This, because it's cloud-based, it doesn't matter where they connect. It's always pushing down these e-policies. So it just gives you the ability to filter by a website category or URL, YouTube channels, playlists, or keywords, as well as being able to blacklist and whitelist on the fly, but most importantly, allow a school to uphold their e-safety policies. So I'm going to jump now into Classroom Manager for Android, and this is also so exciting because this is what I was talking about, giving tools to teachers to be able to better manage. So everything I've showed you before was, how to assist admins, how to get schools to make sure that everything works and students are safe. This is a tool now that's designed and focused for teachers to be able to have better management of their class and of these devices. So sorry, I went a bit quick. So what's great about this is we also sync with Google Classroom. And if you make use of Google Classroom, you can actually sync these classes down, and a teacher won't need to go and create these over and over and add students. It'll come down. But if you don't make use of Google Classroom, you can still use this as a teacher tool and add your tools and add your lessons in here as you need to. So if I jump in here right now, I'm going to use this device, sorry. Excuse me. And I say, I'm going to start this lesson, and what's going to happen on this Android, it's going to pop up, open, and say, hey, your class is starting. Please, will you join? I just want to unlock it. I'm going to join. And as you can see now, I've got a live view screen as the teacher for this lesson as to what's happening on this device. So no matter where they are and what they're doing, I'm able to control this. So if they need to be in the Mobile Guardian app and they need to be browsing something on a website, I can get a snapshot of every single device in this class if they're added, and I can see exactly what they're doing at all times. So if they're in their catalog and they should be doing something within their catalog, I can just make sure I can continue teaching my lesson and have a peek every now and then to make sure they're still on course. Let's say, for example, a student's not on and you need to rectify it. You can quickly just say, let's say they're on YouTube. You can jump in and say, hey, please get off YouTube, and this message will now push down to the device, and at least the student knows that they're being monitored. So great way just to allow students to self-correct in that sense. Another cool tool is, let's say the teacher needs to teach something in the front of the class and she doesn't want the students distracted by their device. You can put it into something called an eyes up mode, and what that does is it essentially locks down the device. Even if I lock the screen and switch it back on, you'll see I'm still in eyes up. The teacher can then teach their part of the lesson, and when they're ready, put the device into eyes down, and bang, within a few seconds, the device is accessible again, and they can then carry on. You can also lock the devices from the front, but I think one of the best parts of this is the ability to push content. So, a lot of the times teachers come to us and they say, it's wonderful that we have these tabs, but a group of 9-year-olds, getting a group of 9-year-olds onto a single web page can be very difficult. If I want to put them on Wikipedia, half of them can't spell Wikipedia, half of them don't even know what Wikipedia is. This tool gives you the ability to pre-prepare content, whether it's a video, whether it's a link, whether it's a test that you want them to do. You can pre-populate it here, push it down to the device, and what it's going to do, it's going to say, hey, your teacher's added this to your catalog. Please go through to your catalog. It's busy doing it right now. Oh, there we go. Sorry, I think my internet's tripping out a bit with this rain. It'll push it down to their catalog. The student hits download, and bang, it gets them on the page that they need to be. So it's all about keeping that continuity. It's all about keeping the flow of a lesson and making these devices an asset in their class. Another cool feature, if you've plugged in the web filter, is the ability for teachers to pre-prepare their cloud-based web filtering. So you might have a case where you're a guidance counselor and you want to give a lesson on substance abuse, but according to the school's web filters, there should not be anything about substance abuse available. I can go in for this lesson for these students as a teacher and actually whitelist a website that I want to teach and give them temporary access to this without having to go to the IT admin and ask them and hope they're available and they've got time to do it. I can manage this myself and manage this process so that when these students are in the lesson, they won't be blocked, and I can make sure my lesson carries on as it needs to be. So it's just helping them keep that ability and once again, self-manage, giving teachers the power to take some responsibility and manage themselves. Another great part before it plugs into that web filter is the teacher's ability to see browsing history on a device. So before, you would have had to go to the IT admin again and say, I had a problem with Caroline in class today. She kept going on to Fortnite and playing Fortnite, or she kept going on to YouTube. I need to address this with the grade head. I can do this myself now, only for my lesson. So this teacher's not going to see anything else except what was happening in their lesson. I can then take a snapshot and then take the appropriate action from there. So it's great that teachers can have access to this. They can have all this information on hand, and then even when that class is ended and they want to check it out afterwards, all their sessions will always be logged in here, and you're able to jump back and see exactly what happens. If you want to go back later and go and check something that Caroline did, you're able to get access to that. So it's a wonderful tool. I think it's one of our more powerful tools because it's more about making the most of your investment in Android devices and getting the teachers on board, which can sometimes be the biggest part of implementing devices, getting them on board and getting them using it. So some of the features, just to touch on, those live screen views, pushing content, direct student or direct teacher to student messaging. They can't message each other. It's just for the teacher to be able to message the student. Eyes up to keep everyone's attention, and access to those browser analytics. So very, very cool. And then just to end off today on our last tool that actually comes as part of the MDM part, all of the teacher tool and the web filter is additional add-ons. This is actually part of the MDM, is our linked parent dashboard. And this is one of our newer products that's becoming more and more relevant now as devices go home. So you can see here that what we've been trying to do and what we're trying to help schools with is take pressure off their IT team. The IT team or the admins, or whether it's a teacher looking after devices, their core focus is number one, improving the way the school works, making sure the network's always up. Or if they're a teacher, their focus is school and teaching students. You also can't keep every family happy. You can't keep every parent happy, because one parent might say, I want my kids to have access to this. I don't care that you don't want it. You can't do that for each individual family. As an IT admin, you'll go mad. It's just impossible. So what we developed was what we call our linked parent dashboard. And this now takes the functionality of Mobile Guardian and actually hands it over to the parents and says, when these devices are at home, it's entirely up to you to use it. If you don't want to use it, we still have our profiles and our restrictions. They won't be able to see pornography and violent content. But if you want to shape your own browsing experience with these devices, you can go in and set up your own filters. So you can jump in here, just like you saw, I showed you before. I can, as a parent, create my own web filters. I can say, this is what I don't want in my home, and this is what I do want in my home, and I can have my own unique browsing experience without having to message an IT admin at the school to help. I think the best part of this is the ability to create what we call rules. So what rules are is creating an experience then how you want the device to act in specific times. So you can see I've got three different rules set out here, and three different ways these devices can work. So homework time means that the devices can only have access to specific websites. They can't browse social media. They can't do anything. You might have something called free time, where you're pretty much opening up the web filters. If they want to go look at Fortnite videos, if they want to go on Instagram, you can build that. And then even down to a sleep time, where what you can do is say, after 10 o'clock, you don't want this child sitting on the device till 1, 2, 3 o'clock in the morning browsing content. I can block all traffic to this device and actually put it in a sleep mode where the student can't use it to go and browse websites till 3 o'clock in the morning. So it's really a wonderful tool. And I think where it works so well with some schools that we've implemented it with is when schools are trying to offload or offset some of the costs to parents. I deal with quite a few schools that get their parents to buy machines or devices. This is a great upsell to show with the value, giving parents the ability to see what's happening on these devices, see browsing history of their kids and what's happening, and even receive information from schools. So, you can directly send that information, like as Kate kept on going on YouTube today, you're able to reference that and the parent can actually see what's happening, but also control when these devices are at home. So it's a great way to upsell a portion of the cost if you are wishing to offset it onto parents. So just a quick recap on that. Just allowing parents to control usage, like bespoke filtering per household, create rules for each home, and it's scalable. So a great way to look at this is to maybe take 5 families and let them start with it and see what they like, what they don't like, and when ready, you can then offer that to the rest of the school. So you can start a pilot program, create a set of champion parents, and then use those parents to scale it up. So it's a wonderful way for schools to be able to further increase digital citizenship and the ability of getting parents on board and making parents somewhat responsible for how their students, how their children interact on the web, on the internet. So that's a very, very quick overview of Mobile Guardian. There's a lot more that I can get into, and I think I always suggest, the proof is in the pudding. We offer a 14-day free trial. I'm very hands-on when it comes to setups and getting schools set up. And if you need us to get involved directly with the school or help set up something, I'm always available. I like to get an understanding of their environment. They can sign up for the 14-day free trial. It gives them a nice chance to get set up, have a look at it, see if it's the right one, and then at least by the end of that trial, we'll know if, number one, they're a good customer and we can actually deliver, or they'll know that, maybe Mobile Guardian's not right, and it just creates a much better experience across the whole. So yeah, always open to setting up some time to chat with potential clients or potential schools. So just give me a shout and we can definitely have a chat. So yeah, thank you very much